Hey guys, and welcome back to Welsh Red TV. I'm here today to look at whether Antony is the single biggest waste of transfer money in United's history or whether he still has a future at this club. He had a decent enough first season at United, which included some highlights. Alongside Martinez, he was able to bring that fighting spirit from Ajax to United, but now in his second season at United, he's been blighted with off-the-field issues, where we thought he was going to become another he who shouldn't be named.
Okay, we will be Voldemort. He who must not be named. I wouldn't do that.
Then with those off-the-field issues still lingering in the background as well, he's came back into this United squad and he's really struggled for any sort of form. Garnacho now has taken over that right-wing spot for the foreseeable. With United now apparently looking at right-wing options for the summer transfer window as well, does it spell the end for United's Brazilian hopeful? I'm going to try and get into the details of that in the video today, guys. Before I do, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into all of it.
Right, okay, let's go.
In an era where all but one team have to follow strict financial fair play rules,
You're so funny.
spending 80 million for Antony was an awful bit of business no matter which way you look at it. In that 2022 window, United obviously once again were heavily indecisive, and Ajax took full advantage of that. The season had already begun and United was still scrambling round to try and support Ten Hag for the coming season. United obviously signing Antony and Casemiro late into the window. If we signed Antony earlier on, we could have bought him for probably around 50 million, potentially even less than that. But Ajax knew United were desperate, so they rinsed as much as they possibly could out of United, eventually getting around that sort of £80 million. A ridiculous fee for such a player. Many at the time questioned that fee, and for that price you're expecting a world-class talent, or you're at least expecting a young prospect who could reach those world-class levels. But in truth, Antony has always had a very, very limited ceiling. You can see from his previous teams, even before Ajax, he's never possessed the greatest output for a winger. So you're not expecting a ton of goals or assists from him. And when you also add in the fact that he's unable to use his actual right foot, and he's actually not the quickest of wingers either. So it does seem an even more baffling price tag when you take all those factors into account. During all his time in charge now, we know the United had him valued around that sort of 20-30 million mark, and that makes a whole lot more sense. As I've said, we questioned that price tag at the time, and now, since Antony's come into United, it just keeps looking more and more baffling.
Thanks for bringing it up.
In Antony's defence now, and the way United have played this season, and obviously Ten Hag's insistence on being that best transition team in the world, has massively hindered Antony and his usefulness to this team. He was never going to be a winger that relied heavily on those transitions. He was never going to be a heavy transition threat. He relies on those little combinations, the little bits of link-up play, and he thrived on that at Ajax, as they held onto the ball for long periods. But United now, we treat the ball like it's our mother-in-law, trying to get rid of it as quickly as we can. And obviously then, the likes of Garnacho and Rashford being in this team are much more suited and they're much more of a direct threat on the counter. And that's why then they're much more suited to this system than the likes of Antony are. If Antony is ever going to work in this United team, then we've got to become a team who keeps the majority of the ball. So he has that link-up potential with his teammates. If we're going to keep trying to play on the counter-attack, Antony is never going to be that guy. He doesn't have that pace to run in behind, so he isn't going to be able to get you from one end of the pitch to the other quickly. It's just never going to happen. He's a very different type of winger than Garnacho and Rashford are. And then also, it's not the player's fault that United decided to make him their third most expensive player in their history. How ridiculous is that? But yet more board incompetence from United and Ten Hag really, because he has to shoulder some of the blame. Because we wouldn't have pushed so hard for the signing of Antony if he hadn't previously played under Erik during his time at Ajax. So Ten Hag kind of does have to take some of the blame, because he's a major reason why United went out and said, right, we're going to back Ten Hag by bringing him his player. Ten Hag wanted him at United, and he hasn't made the most of him. So we signed at best a squad player, and people were expecting a world-class one. So I think a lot of what Antony's doing at United at the minute, people just have to lower their expectations a little bit. We can't be expecting a world-class talent because he just isn't that. As I've said, he's really just a squad player He can do bits for you, as I said, in the right system. But if he's going to have any chance of succeeding at this club, people really do have to lower those expectations. He's not going to be a world-class winger scoring you 20 goals a season. It's never been his game. It's never going to be. At 24 years of age, there's not a huge room for improvement for him either now. And United may not be able to get rid of him anyway this summer. Obviously, due to the financial fair play stuff, it's not really worthwhile getting rid of Antony. And he's on such high wages that why would he leave right now? Obviously, you can understand he says he wants to stay. No one else is going to pay him the ridiculously high money the United are right now. Then when you add on to that those charges that he's still under as well, United are left stuck with him. You've got to just get used to it right now, guys. So we're going to have to just wait and see whether he is going to become the biggest ever transfer flop at United or whether he is still going to kind of succeed at this club. It's looking like the former at the minute, but he's going to get some time, I think, to at least turn things around. Because as I've said, it's another player the United are going to have to hold on to, really just because we have no other options. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below, guys. Do you think Antony has a future at United or not? As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for the latest surrounding everything United, and I'll see you in the next one.